Hello and welcome to our first podcast of Dwarven Goliaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this podcast is going to be a lot of D&D related stuff, obviously because of the name.
Yep.
And video game, music, movies, anything of the sort. Anything we see interesting.
Yeah.
And other ridiculous things that kind of intertwine with it, and some just out of subject.
And we're not professionals on anything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if we get something wrong, well, fuck you.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be a lot of actually this means this or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's obviously gonna happen in anyone doing anything, especially something like this. And another thing too is I've always seen as something that could be a challenge a little bit is subject wise. Because I just said now that we're doing more things D&D, video game, and movie related, say we talk about something random like golf carts or something, it does kind of show the amateur part of this, of why are you even talking about that? If someone were to come to listen to this for D&D, then they'd be like, why are they talking about boats? It's
or squids, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, then again, it is for those specific topics, but it can also be for other things that we see interesting, be it science or comic books and stuff like that.
Yeah. And other, you know what? Never mind. We'll skip that.
Okay, so I have some topics and ideas that I have here.
All right.
I got new and upcoming video games, new and upcoming movies, some D&D topics, and extra conversations.
All right. Let's start with one of the D&D.
Okay. So I have a few. I have subclasses and archetypes. We could talk about those because I just recently saw that they've added even more archetypes in Unearthed Arcana.
Uh-huh.
And another one is a custom D&D table. And I think we can branch off that a lot.
Okay.
I saw on D&D's Reddit, someone had made a table, and it is amazing. And another topic is just called "Hey, what are you doing?" And that is something I saw also on Reddit because I was looking for just anything to talk about.
Yeah.
This was how someone played the game. They used "Hey, what are you doing?" And I can tell you more about it if we go to that.
Okay.
Another thing is an inventory app that I found, and for D&D 5th edition.
Yeah, I got you.
Know that most of these D&D stuffs are pertaining to 5th edition, because when we first started, we did use 3.5, and I can see someone still using 3.5 or a D&D, but for our group at this moment, we are playing 5th edition.
All right.
So which one would you want to talk about?
That table would probably be pretty
That
good.
table is nice. It's really good. So
let's hear what that guy said about the table, though.
About
how the custom table he was gonna make, or something like you just mentioned.
What are you talking about?
Or are we gonna talk about our own custom table?
Yeah, no. This was Reddit. It shows a picture.
Oh, okay.
A few pictures of his friend who made a table custom for D&D.
Uh-huh. And
then if you want, we can branch off that and talk about the one we were thinking about as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So this one I saw, and at first, the Reddit post said that he tried making a table. So I was thinking, oh, it's someone who made a table, and it had a picture, and it was just a basic dark wood table.
Yeah.
If I can remember right. And then I go through, and it's this large rectangular table, and in the middle this huge panel comes off, and there's a giant TV screen right in the middle.
That's awesome.
And they already the pictures didn't show it off. It already had a battle map on, had a miniature on there, and there was about this much space, maybe half a foot or almost to a foot of just nothing, in case someone wanted to put well, no, that's the thing, because there was the wooden frame that was about the same length, a foot and a half maybe, and then the inner part where the middle board was, and then the TV. So he showed a few pictures of books and other stuff in that area, and then dice and sheets on the wooden part, wooden framing.
Okay.
And it was amazing. The wood finish that it had, that space in between the TV and the wooden frame was a snake skin, or a white like, yeah, I think it was snake skin.
That's awesome.
But he had it going around the whole thing, and it looked amazing.
That guy put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, it also showed some progress of him just working outside on it, and you can tell from, like, I don't even know why he said the guy attempted to make a table, because he did. Like, it was a proper table, and it was really cool. And, like, it showed him working on it outside, and you can kind of see the progression that it went from just some regular boards to this perfectly finished and, like, smooth table, perfect for D&D. It was awesome. It was really good.
What was the color like?
It was like a dark. Oh man, it was like just like
red.
Almost. I think it was in that realm of being between red and brown.
Oh, okay.
But it was just that rich color that he got with the finish. Yeah, it was amazing, man. Seeing that, I immediately thought of the table that we were thinking of making as well, or just that whole concept of that room.
Yeah, the table that I imagined us making is like a dark brown, light brown trimming, with the rest of it like gray. Is how I imagined the one that we would like to make. Like the majority of it would be gray with with like the edge of it being like more towards where the people sit. Yeah. Being that dark brown wood, and then like the trimming of just light wood all the way around.
And another thing that I've seen is there's a company called Wormwood who makes dice towers, dice trays. I think at first they were like, here's some basic woods and here's some basic colors. But then they started going into like cherry blossom wood and like some purple something. Like it's
I've seen.
It's like that stuff I would even want to try putting as trim.
Oh yeah.
Just so it's that accented color. And it's still that wood, but it has a little flair to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would actually look really cool. And what else I was thinking, just for like the legs or something, but to go with like a steampunk type thing. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't go like too thoughtful into that. I just thought, oh, a theme punk. I mean, what?
Theme punk, yeah.
Theme punk. But to go with like a table that looks like that with like the gears and whatnot, I thought that would look cool. But that was like a whole different idea. That wasn't like with D&D or anything. It just wasn't like our D&D table. But it was just like a table that I would like to eventually make or something. But yeah, I was thinking of that, like maybe something on the legs. But
another thing too with that is the level of like how much you can customize a table is completely up to you. Like immediately as you were talking about a steampunk leg, I'm thinking of like brass and like gears and like a lot of copper too, and that could be something instead of the actual leg itself, a cover for the leg, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like we can have it something to where there's some hooks around the ends and you just put it around, you know what I mean? Yeah, I get it. And maybe even like have something for the actual trim or like the perimeter of the table. Yeah. But like I said, it can go as far as you want. So like even
and then some people just like the plain table. Like, as long as it like has like the things that they want on it. Plain table. Yeah. Looks nice.
And how many seats would we want on our table?
I would say max 8.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, at first it was probably 2 on each side of the lengthwise and then 1 on the other end. Yeah. And then the DM on the other end of the width. But I've seen that we're starting to get a bit more people. Yeah. So it'd be fitting for 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and there's still that end table or that width end. Yeah.
And I was thinking of more of just making like a really large triangle. Like a really large triangle.
That could work as well.
So the DM has like his entire side completely to himself. But it's decently big to where it can fit 4 people on either side of the triangle. Yeah. And I thought that would actually work too. But like I said, like that works too with the 4 people on each side and at the very end of the table of like a large rectangle. Yeah. I see that too.
And another thing that we can also do is instead of having a chair there, we can have something of a screen or like even something, because we plan on the other end having this sort of octagon shape or half of that sort of for the DM. So he has his essentially control panel of like all the things that he can do as a DM. And behind him on the wall have a TV screen up there mainly for like battle maps or even just scenic pictures so someone gets the idea.
Yeah.
But that could also work. Instead of having it right behind him, it could be right here.
Yeah.
But I feel like something like that is, say we're looking at the DM over here, and then we look over here to look at the screen, and then just someone keeps looking at the screen and keeps looking and doesn't look back at the DM, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So it could seem fitting to have it behind them so they can just look up and back down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ease of head movement and also attention. You also got to get that in right. Because if not, then someone's going to be like messing with the tray or like doing something else or something like that. Like a distraction, basically.
Yeah. And then, I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. To have the battle map on the screen, I think, would be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and even the app we were thinking of making, too. Or something to at least link to it. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. Where they can have like their own, like... What do you think? Like, let's say the screen up is right on top of the wall, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a grid format. It looks nice. It looks great. Right? Yeah. But do you think that it should look like there's a small figure on there, or do you think it should be like a picture of their character, like in that one square? Mm-hmm. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like it would be nice to see a miniature there, but it's kind of top down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would make sense to have. Even if we'd want the entire grid, their image of their character.
Yeah.
And there is always that aspect of, say someone's fighting an elemental. The elemental has the ability to get into their space.
Yeah.
And sort of hurt them as they're basically enveloped in the elemental.
Yeah.
So for something like that, in the grid pattern, say there's an elemental one square and then the player on the other. When they switch over, it's a split. There's one side is the player.
Oh, to show that they're in. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. That they're in the same space.
Yeah.
When it comes to being confined, you can just put it next to grid. But if someone's in their space, which, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but it's good to have that in there just in case. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even not just an elemental.
Anything can happen.
Exactly. Some kind of ooze or a gelatinous cube, which I haven't even as a DM prior. I haven't messed with the gelatinous cube, and I feel like that's kind of a staple for D&D. You know what I mean? That a mimic, obviously
mimics.
Dragons, but like I don't even think I've looked at their stats. I've looked at a stat of like a gray ooze or something like that, but I've never gone so far as to like I'm gonna put a gelatinous cube in my game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it would depend on the creativity of the DM. Because, like, where the fuck are you going to find it?
Exactly.
Like a fucking cube wall. Like, maybe in, like, a dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, half submerged from, like, water or some shit like that.
I feel like the simple way to go to it, and it's still the simple and safe route, is, like, you're in a dungeon, there's a gelatinous cube there because it's a dungeon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what if more creative ideas or thinkings of ways to not make it just that you're in a dungeon, here's a cube. It's more of, like, you're leaving the dungeon and there's still remnants of like an overtop community or something like that, and then a gelatinous cube's up there or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something where it changes it up a bit. Not exactly that, but like just something that like different from the original. Because I can always see like, oh, you're in a dungeon, you see a gelatinous cube, you see a Duergar, you're in the you're going towards the Underdark, things like that, and always changing it up a bit can always be good. So say, like for the Duergar and the dwarves, they're very similar. Say there's a dwarven town that was taken over by Duergar, or they started changing or something like that. Like, always getting that creative change could be good for it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've had any time thinking, hey, we need to put a cube in here or something like that. You know what I mean?
Let's put a D6 into the game.
yeah, and then simple like here's the player model D6 right there.
But yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking of on the actual grid to see if like it should be a picture or like a top down part of like their figure or such.
I think if we can collectively get images of our character, then it could be much easier to like, okay, there's his image. Okay, moved here. Just put his face on that grid, meaning he's there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And on this app, linking to both the program on the DM's laptop and TV, because it's being casted to that, the players' phones have enough stats to say if you're a gnome or if you're a Goliath or if you're a wood elf. Things like that alter your speed, or even attribute feats and abilities. So say I'm a wood elf monk that has the mobile feat. I have a lot of movement, you know what I mean? So the phone can recognize that, show you the map on your phone, and show you in green squares of the grid how far you can go.
Where you can go. I like that.
And so say it's a hallway or it splits into two. You can see that you can go so far in that hallway of like the grid and green, and it senses the obstacles. I think a little difficult part would be getting that grid in line with everything that somewhat looks natural. So say it's a column, and you want to go on this side, but it's kind of closer to the front than it is to the side. It gets awkward at that part, but the fact that it can detect the column would be on the app. So you can see like, okay, I can go this far, or I can run all the way over here. I can run next to my friend. I can run against the enemy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And like I said before the podcast was how the DM can like make it foggy in one area so they actually can't see on their screen what's there.
Yeah, that's another thing too. If someone's going into a house or multiple rooms like a dungeon, that entire thing's closed off. You can have a blank screen or even a visual like effects, just have it fog covering. Yeah. And once they get in, you just have an animation of it lifting or it's sliding out of the way. You know what I mean?
And and you won't always need a map. Like let's say like you're traveling somewhere, like you can have just a picture of like the continent that they're currently on, or like their player stats on the screen or something like that. Just so something that they can look at if they want to look at, just like if you're traveling somewhere and you don't need a battle map at that current moment.
Or even a live visual map. So say we're going from one end of the continent to this end, you can have like a small red trail to show their progress or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And instead of it just like click and it's the next slideshow where it just snaps over there, you can have it to where you can see the thing move. Sort of like an Indiana Jones vibe where it's just like the trail
it shows you
going
where they're
through.
going. Through the map.
Yeah, something like that. But there's a lot of versatility you can do with programs and apps that connect to the program and multiple things like that. We want that, and then we also want were we talking about borders for the players area? Because I know
borders, we don't need borders.
Not so much, but I feel like we were talking about the small dice tray that's in it for the lights.
Oh yeah,
because we're thinking in the DM's command center there's a thing that can affect the lighting. Because I know that out there's customizable lights where it can be red, it can be dark, it can be a light blue like you're underwater or something like that, to where the DM has complete control over that, and they can dim it. So say you go into a dungeon and there's lava spewing, you can have a few lights red and the rest really dim, but then that would have a problem with the players actually looking at their character sheet. So in their area they have this, or even a trim around where they would put their character sheet, and LEDs under that pointing straight at the character sheet.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So as you dim that, they can just click a button and that lights up their entire character sheet, and they can easily pull it out and put it back in. Yeah. But sort of having this small frame of a paper and putting LEDs under that frame just so they can, I mean, to an extent of what we're doing, fully teching out a room, it kind of takes away that, we're just playing D&D with pen and paper. Yeah. We still need that paper aspect. I feel like once we take the leap and we're just on our laptops or like something like that, then we're one step closer to getting a generator that rolls dice for you. And at that point, you're not even playing. It's not, you know what I mean? I got you. So it's always good to keep that somehow grounded by having a piece of paper there.
And I was just thinking of just like simple lights, just like something that snaps up and shows their like, and it's just a small light that shows their actual like full sheet, and then the lights in the room would actually be the ones to dim down, like just, you know what I mean, like to change the color inside the room. Yeah, we want to try as much as possible to keep that physical and visual aspect
still there, that you can still see your character sheet.
The DM is going to be completely overwhelmed with everything. The players aren't. The players are going to be just fine.
The players are like, hey,
then
here's
again, that's
sheet.
how it is right now.
Yeah.
But once
much more complex.
Yeah.
And I feel though it, in a sense, it does seem like a lot more extra, but I feel like a DM would want to do that. Yeah. Me being in the DM's position before, I do have that visual grasp of what they're doing, where they're going, what's around them, and I feel like where they are is very important to really get them in that position to where they think I'm actually there.
Yeah.
You can only go so far as to being very descriptive. What if there's a DM that's not so descriptive? So this is an aspect or another doorway you can take to use that route and just change the lights and immerse them physically.
And the DM doesn't even need to do that if he really doesn't want to. Like, he could have that nice setup over there because he's the current DM and he's just like, no, I don't want to play my game like this. Yeah. He doesn't have to. Like, some DMs don't want all that. And then some do. Some like to go the extra mile of making an entire map and showing it to their entire crew. Or, like we said, on the screen, just like a straight thing, just a grid type thing so they can move around and whatnot. And then, but there's also DMs out there that don't like to go into all that, and they like their characters to imagine what the field looks like. Yeah. Not necessarily building it for them, but like building it for them in like the narrative standpoint of it. So like saying that you're on the outer wall of a large castle. There's forest to your right, and like it starts to get a little more dense. Like you can see the trees going up, and then more towards the left, it seems to be dwindling down, and it like more of a road type. You know what I mean? So like it gives the characters like their imagination of how they would see that. Yeah. And then, but when it comes to like a battle map, that's always cool to just like look at, like be like, that's awesome to look. See, like this is how you imagined it. That's not at all what I was imagining, and that looks awesome. Yeah. Like kind of like that. I can see that how that would be nice with battle maps and whatnot. But like when you're actually explaining the story to them and a lot of
you can be very descriptive and immerse them through like that. So you're not only just even like before with all this technology, it's starting to take you away from what it first began or like what it was, pen and paper, and now this next aspect, your imagination. That is one of the biggest parts of D&D entirely. Yeah. So there can be a DM who can be like, the screen's up there if you want. That could be a battle map or that could be anything. And I have lights, but I mean, just enough so people can see. That's all I want it for. That's completely fine. And we can have someone who's really great at storytelling and being very descriptive, and that can immerse someone as well as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then doesn't even need to use any of the lights or anything. They just go with their own narrative standpoint of how everything goes like that.
Yeah. And then another aspect of the table would be, so we have that sort of frame of LEDs for the paper, making sure that it's pointing down, not sort of blaring at someone's eyes or something. That's why we have sort of a frame above it. But to the right or to the left, a compact sort of spring that you take two latches off, and it pushes a dice tray up. Or before it even comes up, there's a sliding sort of door, and that comes up because of the spring. And that's a dice tray right there, be it something purchased through like Wormwood. Like having a Wormwood dice tray sounds amazing just because of the way they make the wood and the way they put the velvet on the bottom, or just any material on the bottom. Having something like that, being able to compact it, push it down, and then close it is something that we also wanted to put.
Yeah. And then I was thinking of also like a little pull-out tray from the side of the table for like their pen or their markers or their things like that, and then just slip it back in if they don't want it.
A lot of it's very compact, and like with that D&D table that I saw, it was very compact because it looked like a regular table, but then taking that middle piece off, there was a bunch of other stuff there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So concealing a lot of it, so it still looks like a regular table, still using it as a table is possible. So it's not looking like dice tray here, a big old drawer at the bottom, and then like a bunch of crazy stuff like that. It can still be closed up to make it look like a regular table.
And I think putting the dice trays inside the table is good because there's players that just throw their dice.
Yeah.
They just
that is yeah
all across the table.
One friend that we were playing with, I don't know if he was making a character or he was just rolling. Someone else was sitting next to him, like just full attention on him rolling, and I think they said something about throw it, and he's like, no, you don't throw dice, you roll dice. And he just rolled it. I was like, that is the smartest thing I've heard from this group for years. Like, something like that should be passed around. That should be put on a poster and just next to the DM or something. Because, like,
I like that.
Throwing
Who
dice.
Said that?
It was.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like something like that to where I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think there's a difference between throwing and rolling dice. I thought, because we also had another friend who just threw it across the table.
Yeah.
It's painful.
It's annoying.
Mainly because as a group, each person I see has specific roles. One being the DM, the other one, me in this case, being the person who supplies character sheets, dice, anything needed. And other players can help with other things, and some are just players to be players. And me, I have a small dice addiction, so seeing someone throw the dice that I lent them, just chucking it across the table, bouncing off and landing on the floor, it is a little painful. And I feel like there are enough people out there with dice addictions and horrible, like, Dragon's Horde type feel, to where they feel my pain. They know when someone's abusing their dice and stuff like that. It hurts.
I never even thought of it until I started to collect dice. Yeah. Of like, I threw it. He didn't necessarily throw it, but he gave it enough power to fall off the table or something like that. I never even thought. I was just like, just pick it up, re-roll it. That's what I thought until I started getting dice, and I understand that. And I'm just like, don't stop throwing my dice.
Yeah, even if it's not your dice. Like, I've given someone dice, I see how they treat it. I'm like, it's theirs. I know that's wrong, but like, still, I mean, come on. Another thing too, and I guess I've seen this as a pet peeve, is dice towers.
Dice towers?
Not what people make of so you can roll, like Wormwood. Yeah. It's people stacking dice to make a tower.
Oh, that kind of dice tower.
That's what we did. Like, I remember our first game. We were all stacking the dice.
Could you imagine how my brother felt?
Oh my god. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, because I've seen somewhere sort of showing some kind of like a form of etiquette for new D&D players, and one of them, all caps, don't stack your dice. Yeah. And I was like, I knew something was up about that. Like, it always, like, even if we get it and everyone's like, someone, say the DM's telling, like, describing the place, and one player is just stacking dice, and then all of them see, like, oh, he stacked all of them, and then the player is just there around the stack, and then it falls. It's gonna break the silence that there was, because they're like, is it gonna fall? That anticipation silence is gonna be broken by dice going everywhere and some falling on the floor and possibly getting lost, and like,
and then there goes the whole narrative.
And then the DM's like, are you serious? Why would you do that?
Yeah. I could just imagine how my brother felt. Yeah. Could you imagine just us right now, and our knowledge of all of it now is just like looking at 6 kids all stack their dice, and every last single one that they can do. The very first thing
we get is stack it. That's like we didn't see like, oh, let me see how good I roll. We didn't have that thoughts in our head. We thought, these are like stacking blocks. Let's stack them up. Like,
And just like every once in a while you hear, and all of them falling. You're just like, yeah, I understand that now. And I think that's what every new character is going to do, though. Like every new player, like they don't know.
Yeah, another thing too, which is great for me in my case of D&D, is comparing how I was then to how I am now. Yeah. I feel like I'm a library for D&D. If like I can talk about a certain topic for hours, as we're doing here, but like when I first started, I remember making a character and rolling an 18 for my ability scores. Yeah. And one of your brother's friends was like, he has an 18 already. And I'm just like, looking around like, is this good? I don't know. Like, did I do good?
Yeah.
And now I know, like, how the hell did you roll that, like, past me?
Yeah.
And why didn't you realize that high numbers are good?
Yeah.
So in that case, like, it's amazing to think far before I had no clue what anything was.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, even after that game, we were still learning 3.5 and, like, what is the base attack bonus? Does that go with this or does it go with the the damage after?
We didn't even know
like,
what the dice were. Like, we didn't. What the shit is a D4? What is that? Mm-hmm. It's a little triangle thing. I don't know what the fuck that
is. It's crazy now. Now seeing it, it's like you could probably name off all 7 of the dice. The fact that I know that there's 7 in a set, like, it's crazy.
It's nice to know.
But it's that amazing progression because something of this simple of a game can be so, like, grasping to some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know it like second nature now because I've been playing for a little over a year now. Yeah. A year and a few months.
And you went hard as soon as,
my God, I did.
Yeah, you went the hardest out of all of us. Like,
yeah.
That was really bad. Like, you got really obsessed. You had the dragon sickness with your dice for the longest time.
Oh yeah. Well, not even before I got the dice, I had that obsession with D&D.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was because there was nothing at the time that would occupy me something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting, like, stories and all this was always, like, it would always grab my attention.
Yeah.
But to the point of, like, hey, here's this game where you're in the story. Yeah. You can change the story.
Yeah.
That was like, you need to pay attention to this. You need to really focus on this because this is, like, something you'll love.
Yeah.
And I remember getting an Adobe app that holds PDFs. I'd get the PDFs of the 3.5 Monsters Manual, I think the Dungeon Master Guide, the Player's Handbook, anything else, anything extra. And it's like, I had hundreds of PDFs talking about not only that or, like, characters or this and that. Like,
you went really hard. Like,
it was insane. And that was just that. And then it came to a point. Was it in 3.5 or was it in 5th edition that I bought dice?
3.5, definitely.
Was it 3.5?
Yeah.
I remember I bought a Bag of Devouring. WizDice has 2 sets of Bag of Devouring and Holding. And those are much more brighter colors. I think they run about $30, which is it's pretty bad. For being the first time you buy dice, I made a huge jump with that. I was just thinking, I need dice and I need a lot of it. Because at first, when we were first playing, just a few of us, we were able to buy a small 5-pack on Amazon, or two of those. And those are like $14 total. You know what I mean? So me jumping to like a $30 bag of dice and it having 20 sets, so that'd be 140 dice with multiple different colors that range from like it. And none of it, I think at the time, from when I got it, was solid colors. Nothing was like, this is just black and white or white and black. And so having something to where it can be like, it's a black with like specks inside the dice so it looks like the stars, and there's gold numbers, and then there's this green and it has this sort of waviness to it, a more lighter green in the dice, and then gold numbers. But you also have that same color with white numbers. It's like very exotic colors in a sense to comparing to most normal dice. So when me first getting that, I was like, I have 140 dice. I have so much sets. Everyone look, don't touch, but look. And I was just like enveloped in them, and like it was that dragon sickness of just like,
dragon sickness.
These are all mine.
You can't have any of them.
You can borrow one maybe, if I feel like on a good day. But you can't take any home.
You know what? You can look at my D20.
Look at my favorite one. You get the permission to look at my favorite one. Like it got so like, and then I realized after a while, and I was just like, you know what? Screw it. So I had all the dice set out in the middle of the table. Yeah. And I told my whole group, get a set. Everyone got their favorite set. You taking some of the ones I actually liked. Those are some nice dice.
Yeah.
Nice dice. Oh shit. But after everyone got a set, I was like, okay, take another set. They're like, all right, what? I already have one. But I mean, I had enough. I had 20 sets, and there was 6 of us? Yeah. So at the time, that was nothing.
Yeah,
and
it really wasn't.
So
But his dragon sickness just didn't let any of us.
Yeah, so I think another thing too is I had to jump like in the deep end essentially. Of just like take 2 sets, hurry before I change my mind.
Did you sink into the floor of gold?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, yeah, that's when he realized too. He's like, oh fuck, dude.
I just kind of had to like just take some because if I didn't let anyone take any that night, I feel like even to this day I'd be like, yeah, no, these are all mine. Don't touch them. Yeah. Yeah. I could probably be more lenient and let you borrow some here and there, but for the most part, don't touch them.
Yeah. And I took dice from my friend here.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. And he said, no, give them back. And I never did. So they're just mine now.
Yeah. I think at first, because a lot of it was like, we'd call each other on stuff. So I was like, oh no, you were like, I'm going to take these ones. And you're pointing at the ones I loved. I was like, do it. I don't care. And you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, go ahead. And you're like, all right. And you took them. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. And you still have them. You still have them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And for those who don't know what Critical Role is, the dice that I took from Ray and then some that I got, all made up to the Chroma Conclave. And so they're all the chromatic dragons. But the Chroma Conclave, it was a group of all the colored dragons, and it was awesome. So that's what all the color of my dice are. They're all gold numbers, with like sparklies inside them, and the black ones are actually all the way translucent, but the other ones aren't. But they all make up the Chroma Conclave, and I was really happy about that.
Yeah.
My friend here was a little bit mad when I got it.
Yeah. For I think a good week, there was a lot of jealousy, and I was like, why did I give him the dice? That was a horrible idea. But I mean, now I'm completely fine with it.
You have a lot of dice. You have double what I have. You're fine.
Yeah. But that's the thing too. It's quality over quantity in some cases. That almost being one of them. Because at first I was really jealous, but now I just think that's really awesome just to see it. I mean, if I had it, it would be the same level of enjoyment, I think.
Yeah, I see.
I don't think I'd get anything out of it if I was like, give me your dice, and then I have it at my house. I'm like, why did I take this from him?
Why did I take this from him?
Yeah, there's no difference to it. So I had that huge set of bag of devouring dice, and I even I think I gave some out here and there. I was more loose about it, where I was like, okay, you need dice, here's a whole set. You need dice, here's 2 whole sets, or so, whatever. And I noticed that I was kind of running low. It didn't feel like I had as much dice. The bag that it gives you, at first, you fill up the bag. And now at a moment I had not as much, and I noticed the bag was kind of empty. So I was thinking, I need to buy more dice. And I went looking. I mainly got this off Amazon, and I think Amazon is perfect for getting dice. And because it's something as simple as you can buy one set for about $3 on Amazon.
Not even $3. I've seen some for like $2.
Yeah.
Or like $1.99.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They put 99 and shipping's like $2 or $3.
Oh yeah.
So counting that, it is probably around $3-5 maybe.
$4-5.
But I mean, that's cheap for dice.
Yeah. That's
and
really good.
Some of them, that's the thing. Some of them aren't just plain colors. These are colors that have an exotic design on them, or golden numbers and sort of stuff like that. So because I felt low on dice, I went and looked, and I found another set of 20 dice. And these were the assortment of opaque and transparent solid colored dice. And these, the same amount, were $15. It was exactly half the price, and with just as much dice, just different colors. And I noticed that colors and quality of the dice matter a lot. Though when I got this second pack, the quality in terms of physical attributes, not color, none of that, they're still really good. Like, they're really great dice. Yeah. So now I practically doubled up, and I bought more dice. And so now I think I have a total of like 33 sets. That is a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a fuck
So
I saw your mic just go.
Yeah, no, it peaked. But seeing, because I remember counting 13, I was like, oh, that's not enough. I don't know why. Just I think it was the bag that did it, and I was like, I only
have 5 sets and a crap ton of D6s.
Oh, dude, I have a lot of D6s,
and those are enough just for me. I'm just like, that's enough. I don't even use all of them.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I pile all these up and use one set. I use these D6.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing too is I've told my mom about me playing D&D and all the dice I use, and because she lives somewhere else, every time I visit, she's like, hey, I found these dice, or I saw this dice at the store. I bought them for you. Every single one of them D6s.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like I went to visit one time, and she had a legitimate pack of D6s. I think it was like 6 of them. And then the most recent time I went, she had 2 pairs of dice. And it's weird because a lot of it, most dices come from like casinos or this and that. The 2 that she recently gave me were from a specific casino.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh look. And I had my bag there, of course, because I take it with me. Yes. Of course. And I pull out another 2 because the ones that she gave me were yellow and the ones that I had were red, and they were from the exact same casino and the exact same like shape and not color, but like same. No. If there was ever a model or the size of a dice, it was exact. And I remember getting that from a friend. She was like, "Oh shit! Like, oh damn, you have similar dice. That's even better here." And like, so if I ever need a D6, I can always tell someone, "Hey, if you want to give me a birthday present or this and this present, give me dice. Don't tell them what kind of dice, but just tell them dice."
Yeah.
Hundreds of D6s will come your way, and that like, it's so common now. But
and I like to see the people that don't know what D&D is. You know, when they think dice, they think of a D6, and that's it. Yeah. And they don't even think of a D20, a D10, a D4, all of those. They don't even know that those even exist. Some. And I think it's awesome to see someone be like, "Yeah, I got you some dice," and it's all just D6s, and you're just like, "Oh, nice, another 20 out of the 70 I have." Yeah. But it's awesome to think that people that like your mom is is interested, not interested, but like supports like the D&D thing, and I'm just like, that's awesome. I don't see why people wouldn't, but I know back in the day,
it was like, you shouldn't play that. Some families hated D&D.
Yeah, like they're just like, that's the Satan's game.
Yeah, it really was. I remember seeing. I saw a small clip of like documentary style kind of thing of the 2 people who made D&D. They saw it as this amazing game that anyone can play. Yeah. Because at the time, all you needed was like 2d6.
Yep.
And that thought or that mechanic of probability boosted them so far, and they started producing it some places, and then some kids would play it and talk about it all the time, and say one of them commits suicide, one goes missing, one just commits a crime or something violent and negative happens.
Yeah.
The moms, all they remember is the kid talking about D&D, and then they do something bad. They linked that up together immediately.
I see.
Then they delved into D&D and saw that it was with magic and wizards, and they're like, that's witchcraft and like Satanism.
Yeah. Like, get that out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of like, there's even large church corporations, or like not corporations, but like large groups that would just buy all the D&D stuff and throw it away as protest.
What the fuck?
And this entire time, the 2 people who made D&D were laughing their asses off. Like, not in a haha, you fools type way, but it was just like, why are you, this is ridiculous. Why are you doing that?
It's a game.
And if you think about it, people who like buy the D&D stuff and throw it away for protest, you gave them money. Them. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that would be the exact opposite of what you should be doing. But yeah, like they were just like, I don't even know. I don't see how you guys are connecting it. You don't even like focus on what's what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a game.
And even in the game, there are
you're cheating.
There are like demons and devils and all kinds of crazy stuff.
But there's also gods and deities.
Yeah, and there's also
that's the same shit.
Bunch
you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a bunch of other different stuff that you can go to. There's a bunch of different monsters. Like, there's some that look like I would have never thought would be a monster, but it is. You know what I mean? So like, if you want, you can have a whole campaign fighting Duragar and not even mess with the demonic stuff or like even moral stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It all comes down to the DM and how he wants to tell his story.
Exactly.
And some DMs even like go as far as like putting like what's currently happening in the world into their game and being like, because there's people in the real world that don't do anything about it, but in the game they feel like they can.
Yeah.
And it brings out like something inside of them.
Yeah, it's that ability to like, I can change this, or like I can do something for the good or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then maybe that just might give them enough encouragement to actually go out and actually do something in like the actual world. Like, let's say something's bad happening and no one's stepping up to do anything about it. And maybe like there's some things that give people motivation to actually do stuff, to actually help out what's bad in the world, or vice versa, to be completely honest. But there's some people that may take it bad. There's some people that it really all depends on the person entirely. But I think it's a really cool game that can show you all the freedom in the world. Maybe not as easy to get coin, but
yeah.
But yeah, there's that. It shows how DMs put their world together and how they do it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's all the way that people see it. They can have completely different perspectives as to seeing it, or like, it's that essentially there's some people that have that escapism where they can I just don't want to focus on anything. I just want to go into the game and deal with the problems we're having, be it like a dragon attack at this town or this and this attack at here. Like, if they want to fully involve themselves, and that's like the way they can therapeutically play and sort of relieve stress, I mean, all for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that too. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about the.
Would you want to pick another topic?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. Would you still want to go off D&D or any movies, extra stuff, or games?
Let's go off a game.
Off a game?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a list of the new games coming out. Some of them are already out because I'm late. One of them is
fucking wrecked, dude.
Monster Hunter World.
Oh my goodness, Monster Hunter looks so good.
It looks pretty good.
Ray, get your PC. Let's fucking play the shit out of that.
There's also Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Ray, get your PC and let's play the shit out of that.
I've seen that. That is amazing gameplay. A new game called A Way Out, and that one's sort of like split screen co-op, and it's a weird mechanic.
I've seen that.
There's
it
also
encourages split screen, right? You're just like not split screen, but you like screen peeking. That's what
it does. Yeah,
you're
it
just
encourages looking at the other person's screen.
Fucking looking at it.
Yeah, as you're playing, you're like, stop! Don't look. That's cheating. Another one is Far Cry 5, Shadow of Colossus.
Oh, I want to play that game so
God
bad.
of War.
I want to play.
That's coming out in 2018 too. And Red Dead Redemption 2.
Never played that.
Red Dead Redemption was one of my favorite games.
Was it?
It was so good. I loved it.
I didn't know the story behind it. I didn't know the like. I've never seen gameplay of it. I just never.
It's really good. If there's, I think it's back. Like the first Red Dead Redemption is backwards compatible for Xbox. You should try it out. You really should, because that's fun. It was amazing, and like even at the time, Rockstar had, in a sense, an advantage on. Like sort of the game engine that they were running, because they did similar stuff after like GTA 4 and stuff like that. I think that was after, but it's that mechanics where everyone is still, I would say, a step back. That sort of introduced a new way of playing, and that was amazing. So those are some games.
Yeah, I actually really want to play the new God of War.
Yeah.
Me and that game.
Yeah,
that game's so
I
good.
can tell
I like
you guys love that game. And seeing it, even me, like I didn't have a PlayStation until, well, I had a PlayStation 3 and 2, and now 4, but at the time I never really think about like console exclusive games.
Yeah.
God of War being the main one for PlayStation. Like if anyone thought. I think at the time with transitioning from PlayStation 2 to 3, if you told anyone, what do you think of when you think of PlayStation? Someone's like, God of War. Easily. Like, it was something that was latched onto that immediately. You know what I mean? Like
this may just me being old, but I always think of is it Ratchet and Clank?
What is that? I was thinking of that too.
I always think
God of
of that
War and Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, there was even another one I think called Sly something.
Sly something.
It's like Sly. I don't know. But it was. I remember playing an old demo for some game similar to that.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. That seemed like one of those PlayStation exclusives. But God of War, like, even I remember seeing I think it was an E3 that they were playing the trailer for the God of War.
Yeah.
And it was just a little kid walking into the house, and then Kratos just walking up. I was like, "Damn, it's him!" Like,
yeah, dude.
Even like the entire crowd at E3. I think I hope it's E3. This is the part where we could possibly get something wrong, but like,
I don't care.
Everyone was going crazy. They were like, freaking out, and it's understandable. It's completely understandable. And
Angel has played all of them. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
That's another thing. God of War deals with Greek mythology, right?
Yeah.
See, I think in this new one they're messing with Norse, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I was gonna say he fought Zeus, but that's Greek. I'm fucking autistic.
Yeah, that's the part where they're going. But I don't know. I think some people
and then Titans.
Some people were relating the giant serpent in that same trailer as being one of the serpents from not Greek mythology. Norse mythology.
Yeah.
So you can sort of see how that pairs, and I think there's even runes on his axe. I could be wrong, but like more Norse mythology is kind of being thrown in there. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say those two sides are fighting or that can't be in the same place as that. But like, I'll take what I can get, man. If it's God of War, like after a while,
If Kratos is moving on to more gods to kill,
exactly.
Let him, dude. That's what he does best. Mm-hmm. If there's a god that wants him dead, he'll fucking kill it.
Yeah. So,
Yes, he dies multiple times. Fuck you.
I feel like if they do that transition, I feel like they can do it perfectly to where he's like, I just messed with the Greek gods. Why do you, the Norse gods, want to mess with me? Like, I'll take you. I'll do it.
I'll kill you right now.
Exactly. Like,
I'll fuck you up.
And then that's him. That's the whole game of just him messing them up.
He goes through all the gods, all of them.
Yeah.
He eventually ends up fighting Jesus.
The final game is just him and Jesus. No one wins. No, you can't beat it. That's the basic, like, boss level. No one can beat it.
It's Jesus on the cross. And
Swole.
He's ripped as shit. And he goes
and rips off that image where it's like this and it's
rips off and just like and starts like running at him and just like I can see that, dude.
I can too.
Just to see how, and he beats up Buddha.
Oh God.
That's messed up, guys. Don't make fun of other people's religions.
Yeah, you gotta be sensitive about that.
I'm pretty sensitive.
Another downstairs. Thing that I was thinking about, because in this podcast we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff, and I mean that's a shitty segue of like I'm sensitive to that or something like that. It's not basically being sensitive, but there are some things that we are gonna bleep out if we feel that's necessary. Be it like a friend's name, or if they don't want to be involved, or even some area around us, just sort of that privacy still. It's not like, okay, we're in the podcast business. Here's all our stuff. Here's all of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even another thing I think we did a while back when we were testing out podcasts is we talked about the time a lot, or we talked about what would happen. Because I remember we were talking about like, oh, what if all these people think, and then someone would say, what do you mean all those people? It's probably like 2 people that are listening to this, and then I started talking about, oh well. What if in like 3 years a bunch of people listen to this and they hear us talking about we only had 2 people? Like, I kind of don't want to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of keep it like general. I don't want to put a number on how many people are watching when or this and that, because then that gets confusing.
Yeah. We're not going to apologize for anything.
Yeah, that too. I don't want to do that. And
like, I'm sorry if you take it offensive, but like take offense.
And
Jesus Christ.
We will acknowledge some moments that it's like, okay, that's messed up. You shouldn't say that. And we know that, but we're not going to go so far and keep picking at it or stuff like that.
Yeah, no, if you don't like it, just don't listen to it.
Yeah, that's
what I have to say. Or skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Or depends on you. But yeah. Well, guys, we are wrapping this up, and I hope you all have a good day.
Yeah.
Later, guys. Have a good one.